So, this is about a comment I made about, on the day of rage, how Trump supporters took over the U.S. Capitol. Uh, Basically said, we love constitutions, we love elections. Trump loses the election, storm the Capitol, prevent government from stealing the election, prevent government from saying our president is bad. We're going to block Biden and install a legal president for freedom. Which is true. I mean, that's exactly what they wanted to do. I mean, it's kind of funny that the right complains about the Nazis until they like what they did. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing with the vaccine. Well, obviously, when I say the vaccine's like the Nazis, it's because it's medical experimentation. It's like, really? So they're locking you up and rounding you up and saying you have no medical freedom, which is another thing. So on Facebook, all these fucking artards on the right, they fucking were complaining about prisoners suing the government. I think it was Alabama for giving them hydrochlor whatever the fucking that shit is. The shit that fucking Trump said was, oh, it's so good. Hydroxychloroquine, I think. Anyways, the prison officials were giving them without their permission. Which, I mean, obviously that's medical experimentation. I mean, if you're giving somebody any sort of medical thing without their consent, without their knowledge, without discussing it on a medical basis, I mean, you're basically just medically experimenting on someone, and you lock them up. That is literally what the Nazis did. They locked people up and experimented on them. And so these same people who complained that, oh, the vaccine is like the Nazis, oh, if I wear a mask in public, oh, that's just what the Nazis did, they want to fucking do all this shit. But then prisoners sue these prison officials, right? Oh my god, they're complaining about getting this medication. Like, I can't believe it. I wasn't allowed to take this medication on the streets. And it's like, they don't understand the hypocrisy of that. You know what I mean? That's how smooth brained they are, how fucking dumb they are. That they'll get mad at prisoners for suing prison officials for lying to them and giving them medication without their consent, which is what the Nazis did. But oh no, you tell me I gotta wear a mask or to get the vaccine in public when I want to go to a public area and fucking a bunch of people. Which, to be honest, I mean, I personally don't really give a shit about COVID because, well, I guess that's a really bad take. Let me put it this way: the majority of people who it seems to be killing are old people, and most of those people seem to be on the right side, of the political spectrum. So if it's killing old right wingers, is that really such a bad thing? I mean, is that really not just COVID doing us a favor? In reality, that's absolutely not true. I mean, that's fucking horrible. I'm just saying that for shock value, obviously. I mean, I'm sure that some, right wingers going to take huge offense to that and be like, oh my god, I can't believe that you would say that. Well, you're the hypocrite, like making fun of us for being the Nazis. Isn't that what the Nazis would have done? Which is true. I mean, the Nazis were against vaccines because their whole ideology was if you're not strong enough, if your immune system isn't strong enough to survive a sickness, then you deserve to die. That was their ideology. You can look that up. That is literally fucking history. The Nazis were against vaccines. If you can't survive polio, then you shouldn't live. I mean, that's why they killed mentally ill people, why they killed disabled people, why they killed old people, even. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just the whole hypocrisy of them on the right. And the thing is that, like, watching the insurrection was actually pretty fucked up. I can criticize a lot of like what cops have done and shit like that, and there definitely is systemic racist within them, but that doesn't mean that one, I'm not hating on every single cop. Okay, first and foremost, I know some people go, "Oh my god, no, ACAB, all cops are bastards." As someone who was a former felon, that'd be hypocritical of me because, as someone who's a former felon, one, people change, you know what I mean? And just because you're a part of something doesn't mean that you partook in like something horrible. For example, saying, oh, all the criminals are rapists. It's like, no, I wasn't a fucking rapist. I never raped anybody. I never raped any fucking kids. You know what I mean? If people want to, like, torture and fucking kill rapists, I have no fucking problem with that. If it's someone who was found to be guilty of being a rapist and they or if they're somehow got away with it. You know what I mean? Like if there's some rich and famous person that bought off the fucking court or whatever. Like I'd be okay with that. But then people are like, oh, well, you raped the rapist. It's like if you rape somebody, that just makes you a rapist. I have no problem if you cut off their limbs. You know what I mean? And like fucking beat them to death with your limbs. That's fine. I have no issue with that. But the second you rape them, I mean, you just stepped into their corner and become a rapist. But anyways, so these people on the right, uh, who just lump everybody together and everything like that, and they complain about the election. Which I mean, to be fair, I think everybody complained about the election. I mean, I don't think anybody wanted Biden. Maybe some people did. Moderates definitely did. Bernie was too far left, in their opinion, which is true. They don't like him. You know, hold on, sorry, I started to pay attention watching this fucking theme in the background too. You know, so these Proud Boys, right? They're fucking absolutely racist. Like that is what they are. They are racists. When I was younger and grew up around these sort of people, there's this whole ideology, right? And it's funny that I, ended up going to prison and stuff like that. These are people that growing up around people who are Proud Boys uh, would have looked down upon. It doesn't matter if you're white and you have a swastika, you know what I mean? Like, the second you've stepped into that criminal domain, like, you're less than. You will always be. If you're Russian, it doesn't matter if you're white, you're Russian, you're always going to be less than. Slavic in nature, you're always going to be less than. Hispanic, and you're white, always going to be less than. It's just the thing. It's like, when they say that they're all for the white people and stuff like that, it's only white middle class people who've never committed crimes, who don't use drugs, maybe abuse prescriptions is okay, but you know you'll always be less than, and go into prison. You see these people with white guys with swastikas and shit like that, and it's quite the culture shock to see them, because it's like, like in this hypothetical situation where the Proud Boys take over, install fucking Trump, and all these fucking criminals that are racist go out and kill people that they don't like, right? Do they really expect that there's somehow going to be like, yeah, we fought for you, we're going to be liberated by you, yeah, we're going to be forgiven? No, you're criminals. You will always be criminals. You'll always be less than. It's like in that sort of situation, you know, white Russians, for example, like they'll let you march and form with them and storm the Capitol with them up until the point where it's like, well, it's time to get rid of you. You're not white enough. You're not the right type of white. Um, and it's just so fucking not really funny. I guess it's just hypocritical, to think that they say all these things. So back to this whole fucking thing that I was talking about with how it's so fucked up is to watch what they did to these cops. They've always said, we backed you, let us do these things. Like, how dare you get in our way, because they've never cared about them, really. They've only pretended to care about them. Do they think that in a Boog situation, like the right nationalists that infiltrated the fucking right wing libertarians, uh, are going to be like, no, guys, no, 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 he's one of us. Don't kill that cop. Of course not. Fuck no. Are you fucking kidding me? The only time they wouldn't is if that cop was like literally going out with them, committing genocide with them. You know what I mean? Like that's the only people that they would give a pass to. Yeah, that's even iffy. You know what I mean? Like, they probably not. I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you're thinking about this from like a long term perspective, do you want those type of people that could potentially turn against you in the end? No, of course, you fucking don't. Which is the same reason why you wouldn't want white criminals, to be part of this sort of white nationalist uh, political system. They're going to be less than. There's somebody that could turn against you. Like um, they might use them as pawns. The shit they might put them in nice prisons. Who knows? Like I mean, maybe. Like maybe they go to the minimum custody prisons and everyone else goes to the maximum while they get genocided in the prison system. Like um, it's so fucked up though to see them like beating the shit out of these fucking cops who they say they fucking dislike. And I'm not gonna be a riot apologist. I definitely feel that you know there was a lot of shit that happened that didn't need to happen. At the same time, I don't consider like looting is like rioting. You know, if it's like a big box store, if it's like somebody's like business, that's their life and blood, and they're a small business owner. I don't mean they're like a millionaire small business owner who, oh no, oh god, oh I'm broken. You know, I have all these millions in my bank account, but oh god, I'll never be able to rebuild with all this insurance money. Oh god, you know, I'm not talking about one of those. I'm talking about if it's like an actual mom and pop building or something like that. That's fucked up. You know what I mean? That don't hurt the moms and pop shops. You know, as someone who's a former criminal, I can tell you, don't hurt the mom and pop shops. Okay, these are people that already have it hard enough. That already have the fucking system stacked against them. Don't make it hard on them. But at the same time, like looting a fucking Costco or something, I don't fucking give a shit. It's fucking property. And if people are looting, they obviously need it. I mean, what, they're just gonna go, oh, sell it all for drugs? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you couldn't get enough drugs with that. You know, if you have a pallet of fucking TVs, you know, there's only so much drugs you can buy with a pallet of TVs before you're getting arrested. You know what I mean? Like, you know, before somebody who's like selling drugs for, you know, the cops or something like that, or some other organized sort of crime shit's rolling the dime on you so that the TVs get confiscated, then they can end up with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just common sense. I mean, but to see these people beat the shit out of these cops is so fucked up. You know, like, they're like literally like outnumbered and shit like that. And that's part of why in a fucking Insurrection 2.0, they're just gonna kill him. Like, that's straight up will happen. And then Insurrection 2.0, if you're a cop and you're not marching with the insurrectionists, you're gonna get killed. Straight up. Like Insurrection 2.0, that is what will happen. Um, you know, and I think it shows a lot that people like Antifa didn't show up. You know, I mean, I think sadly they're some of the few people that actually didn't, you know, take this as a joke. They saw what could have potentially happened. And some might criticize them and say, well, they should have, you know, fought to protect the cops and shit. Then, like, no. Let's be honest. What would have happened? They would have fucking got into an altercation, right? And it would have just been a three-sided altercation, you know, and that would have just made it worse on the cops. Because at the same time, like, these cops who are already outnumbered and shit like that, they're gonna get the shit beat out of them. They're gonna get fucking beat up too. You know, and at the same time they're like trying to like get in between people. Like, that's the worst time to try to get fucking beat in between people. You know, like, so it just shows a lot that they didn't add to this. You know, they didn't throw fuel on the fire. But I think that also says more about why, because they've never really. Okay, there's a lot of. Let's be honest. There are some people that are like, oh, all of them barristers, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, also, yeah, to be fair, there are some people that are like that, but the majority of them, they're just upset about the fucking one racism that exists, and two, the no accountability. And there are even cops who are upset with this complete lack of accountability. If if you're a cop, it is not in your best interest to tell on another cop. Why? You'll get reassigned. You could get kicked off the force. They could fucking plant drugs on you and say, oh, he was actually kicked off the force for using drugs, and now you can't get hired anywhere else, or you might get killed. You know what I mean? There's sometimes cops fucking get murdered in random places, and I mean, I would have to look for an example, but I mean, I think there was like that sheriff in like Florida that was just like really suspect. You know, he like fell off the back of a ski boat, and they didn't like realize he was gone for a while until they turned around. Shit like that. You know, like, I'm not saying that that instance was like them killing him, but shit like that could happen. Um, so in Insurrection 2.0, if you're not marching with them, they're just gonna kill you. And even then, if you like go to march with them, they might just kill you anyways, because they might be afraid that you'll get this like, oh no, I really like Jerry. Please don't kill Jerry. You know, please don't kill Officer Jerry. And then you kill Officer Jerry, and you have this moment of worry where you're like, oh my god, these people are awful. You know, I just don't see them tolerating them, you know, at all. You know, and this is why they've infiltrated like the right wing libertarians. Like, number one, like, if you are an authoritarian right wing, it is in your interest to infiltrate the right wing libertarians. Why? Because right wing libertarians pose more of a threat to an authoritarian government than any protesting fucking left wing, you know, college kid. any left wing college kid who protests, they're not that much of a threat compared to a right wing libertarian who would be against authoritarian rule. Let's be honest. So, what's the best thing you do? Name it the booze movement, fucking, which is a joke when you think about it, because that's like, um, it refers to Starship Troopers, which is a movie that is all about like a space fucking fascist, futuristic fascist civilization. You know what I mean? Like, uh, yeah. So I mean, this fucking tryhard gets all mad on here and shit like that. Uh, let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Um, yeah, this person got all mad. Was like, oh, what about Portland? Blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, like talk about a few city blocks in like 90,000 acres of city. That doesn't even include the suburbs, okay? 90,000 acres of the city proper. Some broken windows, like, oh no, those poor broken windows. If only that fucking Kenosha fucking shooter was out there to save the windows every year. The fucking poor windows are killed. Won't a kid go out and shoot people to stop them? Like, God. Anyways, that's just pretty much my fucking rant. Cover pretty much everything. It's just so fucked watching this thing. Um, Another big one about watching this thing was like they're trying to get the nuclear launch codes out of the fucking out of the White House, or sorry, out of the Capitol, right? Now, why is that such a big deal? Well, think about it. If you're Russia or China and you infiltrate a movement like this, and then you like pull out your guns and come on, we gotta get them over here. And really, your whole goal is just to get like our launch capabilities. Like that's amazing. Like that's poggers. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking pog as shit, dude. Like you infiltrate a fucking insurrection and then you manage to get our nuclear launch codes. Like you know what I mean? Which is the other thing too to think about, which is like those right wingers fucking turned on Mike Pence. They were gonna go after Mike Pence when it's like, I thought that was your guy. You know what I mean? Like, at least he had the evangelicals, backing him. But the evangelicals, they're such a weird fucking people. I mean, I know a lot of them are fucking racist. I mean, they obviously are racist, but um, they're just, their whole issue was like, we'll never vote for Trump unless like you attach some religious dude to him that we're cool with. Which is, I mean, how the Nazis did it. They were in cahoots with the Catholics. Absolutely. Which is funny that, racists hate on the Catholics, you know what I mean? And that's the other thing, too, is there's like so much division, like within them that it makes sense that, you keep them, you give a common goal, right? And then once you achieve that common goal, then you purify your common goal. And what I mean by that is that, like, these insurrectionists they take over everything, right? They start whitewashing America. Just basically it's genocide. But I'm just trying to keep it, PG-13 here, as non PG-13 as I've been covering everything. But uh, they fucking whitewash America, right? And then they start getting rid of the Hispanic whites. They start getting rid of the fucking Russians, the Slavic people, until they get to the one core that they've really been after. You know what I mean? And the people that would stand against that are the religious. I mean, they would absolutely go after the religious, and they did. And in Nazi Germany, there was like this flip flop between: do we support the religious? Do we go against them? Oh, we support you now, but now we're against you, or now we're against you, but we might like you later, you know. And so yeah, these people are just getting all fucking try hard, hating on the insurrection and shit. And to be clear, these are like right wing authoritarian insurrections. I'm not talking about like what right wing libertarians would have like fought against. The people that voted for George Jorgensen. Some of them might have gone with this thing, but the majority of these are the right wing, you know, uh, authoritarians. I mean, it wouldn't want to block an election. It was fucked anyways. I mean, Creepy Joe's a fucking piece of shit, and most progressives, most left wingers hate him. But when you're so fucking bad that Biden looks like a better choice than Trump. Like, you're pretty fucking terrible, you know? Like, you're a fucking horrible president if, like, you make Biden look like the better of two evils. Like, um, but yeah, so I was just like watching this whole fucking insurrection thing. It's just insane. Like these are insurrectionists that are right wing authoritarian, you know, and this is why they would infiltrate, you know, the right wing libertarians because they don't want right wing libertarianism. I mean, think about it. And even in a right wing libertarianism, I don't even think right wing libertarians would actually want to live in that system. And what I mean by that is you vote with your money, with your wallet, right? Like that's like one of the core tenets, the free marketplace of ideas and stuff, and fuck taxes. Okay, well let's say that like we get rid of taxes, right? So corporations and the wealthy, they pick up the slack. Okay, look, I'll buy the street, but I'm going to charge everybody to fucking drive on it. That's reasonable, right? So instead of taxes, all you're doing is you're paying out to the Coca-Cola company, like because you live on Coca-Cola Street, you know, and uh, you know, you want police officers, and it's the Milton Bradley police force, you know, and you gotta pay your insurance money to the Milton Bradley company because that's the police that police your area, and so it's what the joke is that like when you pay taxes and they pay for stuff with those taxes, there is a guarantee, an implicit guarantee with that, which is that you take my taxes, you might mismanage it, which they often do, but there's this fucking accountability that is like you still have to put that into streets. You know what I mean? Like I can't pay the Coca Cola company my Coca Cola street fees and then be like, hey, there's potholes here, you guys. Like, when are you gonna come fix that? The Coca Cola company would be like, oh, if you don't like it, you can fucking move. Like, I can't move because there's potholes on the street. I'm like, well, I guess that sucks for you. But if you fucking don't pay, then we're gonna repossess your house. Which is the thing too. Like, if you're on a private street, right? Like, you don't have the Fourth Amendment. So you might buy like a flamethrower from Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk might sell you a fucking flamethrower because he's pretty fucking dumb. He might do that. But that doesn't mean that he's going to let you fucking, carry your fucking flamethrower on Elon Musk Street or on Tesla Street or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, he has every interest not to let you have a flamethrower on Tesla Street. Like, if anything, he'd be like, I don't know if I want you to flamethrower on my street. We put some money in those bushes. Flamethrower's kind of spicy. I might set those fucking bushes on fire. Yeah, I'm just not okay. Okay, well, what are they gonna do? Come take it from me? Like, well, if you're on private property, so if you're on a private street, there's a private police force. Uh, it's not like you can tell them you can't search me. You're on private property. You know what I mean? Like, there is like certain privacy and that you're afforded. But ultimately, it's the same thing with like social media. Is like you're allowed to practice free speech, but it's at our allowance. You know what I mean? Like you're allowed to drive on this fucking street that used to be a public, road, but it's at our allowance now. So if you want to charge you a fee for driving on our street, anyways, what my point is that it's like you would end up paying more under that system because there's no like they're not going to go based off of like a fair income tax or unfair income tax or anything like that. It's just going to be fees. So who's going to be able to afford those fees? The wealthy, obviously. They might even not even have to pay themselves. Like it's a conflict of interest. I mean, I don't know. It's just fucking watching this whole thing just so fucking crazy, and it just shows what's so fucking wrong with our country. Um, and oh yeah, this part where they're like telling the cops, fucking, oh stop, I wouldn't fucking come up against us, cause look, we backed you for so long, but I'll beat the shit out of you, fucking, if you, get in my way. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just kind of rant. Uh, I don't know. It was pretty much all over the place and shit, and I don't know. Maybe I should fucking try to make a better fucking thing or something. I don't know. I mean, I see Hasambi's doing something like this with TikTok, and that might be something I might look into. Like be playing games and stuff while recording. Um, you know, uh, I don't know. It's just interesting. Yep, that was just my rant. And if you made it this far, then you might be dumb because I don't know why you would make it this far. I pretty much talked about everything like a fucking autistic person with ADHD. Um, but yeah, so I guess I don't know. This is like my whole fucking take on the insurrection. I guess if we're looking at one focal theme, right now we covered a whole lot because there's a whole lot to cover. You know what I mean? Like there's not just one thing. We can't just talk about just the insurrection. We have to talk about everything that led up to it and everything, and the people involved in it and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's just so fucking crazy to see this shit, and it's so crazy to think that it was just like just a year ago, pretty much. Well, no, yeah, I guess not pretty much. It was a year ago. Um, 'Cause it seems like just like the other day, you know. But yeah, I guess the take on that is, Insurrection 2.0. They're not gonna fucking like ask the cops, hey, if you try to arrest me, I'm gonna hit you with the hammer. No, they're just gonna shoot you next time. I mean, let's be honest. Why? Because they're gonna point back to the fucking last insurrection, be like, look, we didn't shoot them. Um, and look what happened. They stopped us. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's funny, all these people that normally didn't wear masks but suddenly wear masks because they're gonna go out and commit crime. Like, oh man, this is crazy. This fucking country is like gone starts down this fucking weird rabbit hole. Um. Anyways, yeah, done. Finn.